Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Good night. Welcome to the conversation, episode 2 for the year 2021. All right. We are joined by Christopher Crossley as well as Micaiah Wilson. So, guys, welcome on to tonight's episode. I know, Chris, you know how it is. Before we jump into it, we just asking persons right where you are as soon as you connect. Go ahead and share this link with persons, as much people as you have. Send it to them, family, friends, frenemies. You go ahead and share the link with them. We're on Facebook and we are on YouTube as well. So if you're new to our channel, go ahead, like and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell so you can receive updates on all our new videos. For those who are on Facebook Live, go ahead and like our page so you will be updated as well on all our happenings that we have here on the mantle page. So, Chris, you know we like to drop it. We're laying it on you now.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Welcome to another night of the conversation. Now, tonight we're going to be touching on a topic, that's going to be a bit personal. It's going to be a little deeper than usual because of what it is. Before I even mention what it is, I know you've probably seen it in the title and in the description. But before we get into that, just as always, the COVID check-in with the gents. How have you been for the last week? How has life been, business been? Any changes? Any obstacles that you had to overcome? What has been going on with you guys?
I think in terms of professional-wise, you are seeing changes that are occurring. Persons are coming into the month of February a bit cautious in terms of how they spend, how they do things right now, and right now you realize that people are really looking carefully at how they value their money and what it is that they do as well. So I see that now the goal really is to ensure that we bring value to the table in everything that we do, as much as possible, to bring value to how we take care of our clients, how we interact with people. Everything with respect to that is not about just being cheap, but about bringing value to the table, and that is so important right now. I'm seeing a particular shift in the mindset of some with respect to that. Others are still complaining, every year is the same thing. Government not doing enough, this, that, or the other. But I've seen a shift right now with some persons in terms of how they invest their time, how they invest their money, what value is going to be coming in. And I believe that is really important in terms of being able not only to survive, but to thrive in this particular time that we're in. Yeah. What about you, Mike?
Hey, good night, everyone. First of all, I want to just say that, it's always a pleasure being on with you guys to have these conversations and to be on with all our viewers and listeners, to share not just our opinion, but to actually have a conversation with them as well. Secondly, it's a really good month, it's a really good day, you know what I mean?
Let me make you out one time. Happy second wedding anniversary to Micaiah and his wife. Congratulations to you all. Congratulations. 2 years strong. 2 years not out.
Much love.
That's good, man.
Much love. Special shout out to my beautiful wife. I know she's on listening, so special love there. It's amazing to have this particular conversation on this particular day. As you get into it, I'll explain more why I say that. But this month started really good so far. Given the circumstances we're currently in. I'm just grateful that given everything that's happening around us, that we can still have these talks, still share, still communicate, and still have some valuable conversations, and not just talk with no, they say empty barrels with the most noise, right?
Oh yeah.
And in the past couple of days, I heard a lot of empty barrels speaking. And it hurt in some ways, but I'm hoping that tonight's conversation can shed some light on a different perspective as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, hoping for that as well too, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, for me, I wouldn't say it has been an easy week since last Tuesday. I always tell people there's a dark side to being an entrepreneur or business owner that a lot of people don't talk about. As most can see, I'm still adhering to all COVID regulations. I haven't seen my barber since December, right? So, so for me, it has just been a time of digging deep and, just doing what I need to do daily to
Mm-hmm.
make sure everything moves smoothly. But apart from that, I can't complain. All is well, taking care of my health physically, mentally, emotionally. And, as men, just doing what needs to be done to take care of myself. All right. So jumping into tonight's topic, um, we entitled it Personal Security, but it's based on things that have been happening in the country. I mean, it's nothing new. It's something that's been going on for years, and we seem to be stuck in this cycle. Just to give some statistics, in 2020, what was reported, all right, or what we knew about, there were at least 416 women that went missing. All right, 416. That's more women than days in the year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and of course, the statistic is dealing with men and what's going on, and I mean, it's not only just men in that sense, but there's also this criminal, um, what is we are looking for? It's this criminal element behind it,
Yeah.
whether it's a gang, whether it's sex trafficking, whether it's people being kidnapped for organs. There's so many layers to this, but 460 women that we know of that went missing, and we have to address that. So Jens, the first thing for me, like I would say, of course, all eyes are on men and what exactly is going on. What do you all think is the issue here? What is it that we aren't addressing with men?
Um, I think, well, this is just from my perspective. I think from a national perspective, I don't think we're really doing a real health check with respect to where we are mentally as a society. Um, I think right now, as a society and as a community, when people see persons acting well, and I use the word normal in a very loose term, seeing
Right.
persons acting far from normal, they'll just say, well, he just stupid, but he just like that, and it could really be a mental issue that is going on right now. And I'm not, no, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that all the cases of kidnapping and these things like that are due to mental issues, but there are a number of factors. Mental issues is just one part of it. Secondly, it's a terrible breakdown right now with respect to the homes and who persons really cling to as father figures and as mentors that are going on right now. And these are the things that are unfortunately going on with respect to that. Shout out to Nicholas and Andy who are connecting online. And they just brought up a good point there. We could talk about that is basically with respect to what are the details with respect to the data of the kidnapping in terms of age, height, skin color, these things like that. Communities where a lot of these kidnappings are primarily taking place. In terms of where the clusters are happening. I think that was a question that they had asked there, and that's a good point to look at. But as I say, in addition to what's going on in terms of mental state, what's going on with crime and these things like that, honestly, it looks like just another avenue for people to try to make money, and also another avenue for people to do whatever sick, twisted things that they figure they'll get away with doing right now because how things are happening there. And that's just my personal perspective on it. I mean, persons could disagree with that, and that is okay. But that's where I'm seeing it from, that area.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna say these things because but this is for the men that are listening right now, and men that know men that may be going through these things right now. All right, I want you to check on each other. All right, because these things don't happen always individually. You notice if someone is going a little extra in terms of his behavior. And a lot of times we don't say nothing or people don't get involved. But I think now more than ever, we need to get involved. All right. So for the men listening, let me tell you, I'll start off with these things. One, as a man, I love a beautiful woman, just like any other man. All right. But understand something. When a woman gets up in the morning, her mission, her life is not about, you know, being special aesthetically for your pleasure, your enjoyment. That's He's not waking up in the morning with that as a goal. All right. It's not about you. So it's not about how she dresses or how she, you know what I mean? That literally has nothing to do with you. You need to practice some self-control. All right. That's one thing. Secondly, gents, honestly do some self-reflection. All right. Look at the groups that you're in, the circles you belong to, observe the conversations being had, and decide if the circle you're in is where you want to be, if it's taking you in the direction of the person you want to become. Because, there are men who will encourage you certain slap talk. There are men who will be encouraging the catcalling and the going behind women in the street and stuff like that. And you do not want to be associated with that kind of energy. All right? Guaranteed. You do not want to be associated with that energy because what you put in your mind, what you feed your mind with, whether conversation or otherwise, replicates in your action. So if you're around 5 men that enter that, you'll be the sixth. All right? Good. Next thing. Something a lot of men, people in general, but we're talking about men right now. Something a lot of men don't do is deal, or I would say do deep work or shadow work, as some of the psychologists and we would say. Just deep work and address any traumas that you have been going through, be it from your childhood or teenage years and stuff like that, because you wouldn't believe how these things affect you today as an adult. And I've spoken to many men and even to myself. We hear voices of things that people have said to us early on in our lives. For years, I would actually hear certain lines that my mother would have said to me as a teenager in school and stuff like that. And it's only as I got older, I realized I had to deal with that. So a lot of men need to stop and do that deep work so they can address these traumas, so they don't then vent and create an outlet for it in these type of ways against women. Because some of these men aren't actually just kidnapping women to rape them. Sometimes it's really about dominance and inflicting that kind of that control, that anger, whatever it is they need to get out. They will just release that. So you need to address that, Jeff. I don't care whatever stage in your life right now, you need to address that. Another point. Now, I'm saying this. Spirituality. I did not say religion. I'm talking about spirituality here. Your common beliefs. The thing that guides your morals. Where is that? Because it's something that we don't talk about and touch on, especially among men. We don't look at the belief system. The things that are literally guiding our internal being. What are they? How are we addressing that with men? Yes, these things are hard. Oh, actually, yes, Andy, it is hard. It's easy to take a situation to get out. And it's ugly. Yes, Andy,
Yeah.
it is. It is. But it needs to be faced. The last thing you want, all right, because I've heard women talk about situations that they've been through in relationships, and I recognize it's because men haven't dealt with certain things, and then it surfaced during a relationship because of their own insecurity or wherever they are mentally and emotionally at the time. And they vent on the woman. And this is where it is 100% wrong because you did not deal with your ish. Let us make that, I mean, let's not play games. There are a lot of men not dealing with themselves. And that is just the truth. So like I said, gents from the top, women aren't here just for like for our enjoyment. Hey, nothing is wrong with marrying a beautiful woman. That's fine. Self-control is a hell of a thing. Practice it. All right. Look at the men you're around. How are they? How are you being influenced by that close circle? All right. Start dealing with your traumas. Start dealing with all things, negative self-talk, the stuff that you're still carrying in your head. All right. And look at your spirituality. See what is actually guiding your morals at this time. Because as we are seeing, guys, statistics are not nice. The census is not good. The census is not looking good enough. It is not. And what hurts me the most is that there are gents, there are men that are actively trying to make a difference. There are men trying to prove these census and these things wrong, and then these things come back up, and then they blame men, they encase men in this corral and say men need to fix themselves. A man who is in a bad position mentally, physically, spiritually, financially is not going to be able to sleep and then wake up fixed. So just saying men fix yourself is not going to just work overnight like that either.
True.
All right. So we have many things to address on this topic. And it is not something simple, but I do believe it deals with somebody, that deep work and dealing with their moral code is something that we definitely have to look at. I know Mike was driving through a dead zone at the time. I don't know if he's clear now. Mike?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
Okay, so this I just want to send I can do this to the families, I should say, of all women who were affected and who have been affected by situations like this. From the most recent situation that was highly publicized to those that we haven't really heard about, to all these different situations. Just want to tell them I can do this is our love and support to those families because nobody should have to go through this. Nobody should have to deal with this. Nobody. For all the men who are here online right now, we have sisters, we have wives, we have mothers, and we have daughters. We don't want to be, we don't want to be on the receiving end of something like this either. Right? We spoke about, I heard you guys speak about already the mental part of this, the morality and everything behind it as well. But I wanna put forward another point of view as well, where it comes to be that we just need to teach men better numbers. I'm of the firm belief that over the years we've conditioned men to certain patterns of belief and behavior that we are now reaping the fruit of those things, of the seeds that were sown into men over the years. And I had a discussion today with somebody about it, and they told me that I sound anti-feminist, like I'm anti-feminist. And I told them, it's not that I'm an anti-feminist, it's that I have the firm belief that we've taught men to be something other than men. If you know what men were initially intended to be, we've somehow taught them to be something else. So men are now seeking dominance, they're now seeking to lash out, and I'm not condoning it in any way. What I'm saying is we need to now retrain the next generation to not be like that. You understand? To be in a situation where we have men that could go and do something like this and think to themselves that it's okay and I can sleep at night afterward. To have men that think that, to even have parents of these men who could then go on the news and say, he was a good boy, he was a good person,
Mm-hmm.
That is where this kind of thing comes from. Where the behavior is condoned in the small parts and goes and develops the bigger thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've condoned a pattern of behavior from men over and over that has now become one that is leading our country to a very dark path. Like when I heard those numbers, Chris,
Mm-hmm.
it scares me to know that more women were abducted than the days of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that is ridiculous to think about. That every single day of the year, somebody lost a mother, a daughter, a sister, a cousin, a niece, a aunt, a girlfriend, a wife,
Yeah.
you know, and these men and women, because they are women involved in some of these things, but these men in particular are in some way of the illusion that it makes them more of a man. And the sad part is, it carries them so far away from being a man
Right.
that I can't even find a word to describe them anymore. So my point of view here that I want to add in is that we need to now look back at what has been done to condone and encourage this pattern of behavior. To think that they can get away with whatever they want to get away with. And that they abide by different set of rules than general public. Right? That's my point of view as well.
Right. Well, I like what you say there in terms of the things being condoned and what have we been doing to condition and even encourage the behavior. Um, I mean, let's think about it from, I wouldn't even go culture perspective, right? Let's think about these simple little things, the domestic violence part of things. When there's something happening at a home, and then, police are called, they don't really respond because they know a lot of times the woman might go back with the man, or they will only respond if when you find out that bloodshed, right? Or a child get hit or a child involved something, and then they will show up. All right, but the statistics has been and I've been in that circle is because a lot of the police say because the woman usually go back with the man, so they're accepting that. Now we're not saying it's the woman's fault here. We're looking at what is the usual excuses or the usual stories we hear. All right, and then let's look at let's talk about the culture in the country, right? I mean, for me, even growing up, whether it's on the street, whether it was when I used to work on a construction site, men does just be, I mean, you can't call in some stages as be ridiculous. I personally asked women how do they handle, that situation every single day, because some of the things I've heard men say to women on the street, it baffles me. Like, really, what is going through your mind? Like you probably already had sex with her in her mind between the distance she walked in front of you, and it is disgusting. It is scary. It is something I think no woman would want to be dealing with every day when she gets up and she wants to feel comfortable in her clothes, feel safe walking the street to have to deal with. So yes, Andy, the value begins at home. All right. And a lot of these things might stem from single parent homes, or homes that dealt with abuse. So the only way they'd express love now is through lashing out as well. Um, men that saw their father beat their mother, so they believe the only way to express love genuinely is to by inflicting the same. But then when it comes to actually snatching a random woman off the street who you don't know because you find she look pretty, she does not belong to you, sir.
Yeah, it's a whole warped mindset shift that is happening right now, and you realize some people just justify, well, she feels she did, I go fix that. This kind of this sick mentality that some people have in terms of how they approach people, how they process things in their mind to justify the wrong that they do. And then in some terrible cases as well, you find that because this is their circle, they don't know that this is wrong. As far as they're concerned, it's just Monday. All right, and I see that Andy brought up a good point there. There are a lot of angry men out there that don't know how to deal with their emotions in a constructive way. So their whole thing is about either lashing out physically and trying to dominate physically to feel better about themselves instead of rising up. You're trying to put somebody physically down, emotionally down, and that could cause that is a part of that's a slippery slope in terms of these gruesome crimes that we are seeing here right now in Trinidad and Tobago. And I mean, it's so much that we need to do on a micro perspective with respect to that about our personal security. But I also believe that is a larger picture as well too as a society from a macro perspective. What are we doing as a society overall to we talk about maybe dealing with criminals and having laws and these things like that, but a law is not going to make somebody change their mental state in terms of saying, I ain't gonna do anything wrong. As far as they're concerned, they say, well, okay, I don't care so long as I don't get catch. And that is the whole mindset behind it. So that was say from a macro perspective, there has to be a lot more done from the different areas in our society right now, whether it's in terms of education, whether it's in terms of security, youth development, a number of these things like that. And you realize now, as a society, we have walked away from that community type development of our young people. Everybody to themselves,
Correct.
and being by yourself right now, that interaction and these things like that, you'll try to latch onto any interaction that outside there now, whether good, bad, or indifferent when you go out. And people not looking out for each other as how it used to be. And I know it may sound real old school. People not looking out for each other like long time. In a matter of speaking, and unfortunately as a society, we are paying the price for it right now. And right now we need a whole revamp, a whole restoration with respect to how we deal with our young men and young women growing up. Young men in terms of how to treat women, young women in terms of how they should be treated, how they treat themselves. And these are the things that we're looking at here. So I mean, yes, we're looking at the area of men in terms of how they treat women. And then we had to look at the role models that some, I'm not saying all, you have a few young women right now looking at the wrong role models. And this is what is coming into the home, and this is what's happening right now, unfortunately. And sometimes we glorify these things. That was say is from a personal a micro perspective we need to look at it, but also we need to look at it from a larger scale, from a whole country scale in terms of how we move forward and what it is that we are doing, and to really be transparent in terms of, look, things are wrong. We need to be able to say that things are wrong and show it. The whole thing about trying to keep up this front of we are a developing country and we are third world and we need to look good for international persons and all these things like that. We need to be as transparent as possible. If we are not transparent, we don't know how to fix it. I think that's brought up to another point that Andy brought up there, where he has been asking for data for the past decade with respect to these areas of violence, and you're not getting anything. And it's because people try to cover things up. And again, for our listeners, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I mean, I had to look at what is happening right now. Sometimes we're just trying to sweep it under the rug and say, well, it's just a bad one or two that are going on here. But look at the numbers. More than one a day being abducted.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that conspiracy theory talk just now. All right.
It's interesting to me when we look at the things that was said about men over the last couple of days. I would personally say that I took offense in some ways to some statements that were made. And as a society, we have a way of bashing all and sundry, right? Bashing in bulk,
Yeah.
right? We would say, they're men, all men, right? And at the same time, though there were other statements that were made about women that I also did not like, I would also say that there are things that can be done on both sides that can benefit this discussion, right? You know, the Alison mentioned and what Alison just mentioned yesterday that when we look at men coming from abusive homes and the pattern of behavior they develop, right? There are mothers who would speak about the negative things about a child's father to them.
Correct.
Thus instilling a hatred in some ways for the father, but also it could turn towards a hatred for the mother because they would then blame the mother for getting the father to leave.
Correct.
And not really letting them understand what was happening. Right? Likewise, there are situations where men grow up seeing a man treat a woman a particular way, and what they learn is not that shows love, but that proves to the woman that you're a man. When you're aggressive, when you're hard, when you hit, when you rough them up, when you come and go and say please, all these things signify that you're a man. Because that's the example of a man that they had. I remember in church one time, a father told his wife that he don't want his son going to church because it's making him soft. Sadly to say, the young man is no longer with us.
Yeah.
Because he decided to pursue a life that was not
Soft.
that doesn't lead to a long life.
It wasn't soft then. Right.
It was a soft life, right?
Yeah.
But it just showed me that that man's view of a strong man didn't involve compassion, morality, consideration, respect, love. What it showed was he wanted his son to be aggressive, assertive. But you can be an assertive man and marry a woman.
Correct.
True.
You can be an assertive man and open a door for a lady and have no intention of having a conversation with her, but you just be a gentleman.
Correct.
Being assertive, being strong, being masculine has nothing to do with
violent.
your power over a woman.
Correct.
It has to do with how you carry yourself and your power over your own nature, your own behavior, and how you carry about yourself.
That's right.
And men are not being taught that. They're being taught that masculinity has to do with how you treat people around you in a assertive and aggressive way. And like Alison said, when a woman rejects a man, instead of him thinking, I'll give you an example. So me, if in my past I was rejected by a woman, I push and move or I place them a pickup line, I should say, and I was rejected, which didn't really used to happen, but like just say it did. I would see it as, she is my, I would see it as, alright, I obey him.
Right.
You know? And I wonder, I wonder how I'm never, I never once thought, she is my, and I get back at her, or I do something to show her that I'm not. To be honest, guys, I've never once felt insulted by a woman rejecting me or turning me down or nothing like that. I mean, the most I felt sometimes was that, okay, I would admit, there were times when women may have used racial remarks to the reason why they were not interested.
All right, Mike, if you can hear us, you're breaking up there for a bit.
You guys can hear me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what I was saying was,
Yeah, we hear you now.
there would have been times where a woman may have used a racial remark or racial reasoning as to why she wasn't interested. And even then, I didn't feel anger, I felt pity that people still think that way. But I wasn't angry to say, but I had to get back at this woman or had to be violent towards her.
Right.
I honestly think it's ridiculous that men think that way, and it's been a thought to me right now to come to the root as to why men have begun thinking that way over the years. What led them to thinking in that pattern, you know? And I'm stumped because I can only see a couple of things and a couple of reasons why, but I mean, it's hard for us to get into the mind of a person like that, but still, it's difficult to understand what drives a man to think that he has the right to do something like that. You know?
I agree. I
Well,
agree.
well, boy, to be honest, my Kaya, just like how we may look at the thought process behind it. That thought process is a seed, and once somebody put that seed there to let that seed grow, that does grow to all kind of things that going on there, and that is where that mindset is. That grew. That didn't happen overnight. That took years of watering and germination and tilling of the soil and everything like that for that mindset to grow like that. And sad to say, once that start to take root, it's very hard to pull that out and transplant and change that tree or anything like that once it take root like that. And I think that is unfortunately what's happening as a society. Um, Before we continue, I want to give a good shout out to the parents out there that are raising good young men and good young women at this time. We're not discounting you all whatsoever. The ones who doing right by your children in terms of stepping in, showing them what is right and what is wrong, and really guiding them accordingly. Because we do have good parents out there. So I just want to give a little shout out to you all as well. I mean, that is a full time job for those who not neglecting the children, for those who making sure that they pay attention and really work on the development of the kids. I want to give you all a shout out as well. I mean, it's not easy, whether both parents or even single parents raising up a boy child or a girl child in the way that it's supposed to. Really shout out to you all as well for doing that. So I just wanted to make sure and say that out there right now.
So,
All right.
so I wanna expand on what Mike asked just now there, right? Like what caused the change.
Mm.
Now, let's do a little history, right? If we look back at even back in the Prohibition era, back in like the 1920s, um, let's look at everything in the sense of how people carry themselves, right? You will find that yes, men and women still had their relationships. There were men and women that still had their affairs, you know, but things were done a little bit more controlled where they would know where to go if they're looking for a lady, or a lady would position herself in certain places. We understand how these things go.
Mm-hmm.
But if you understand how people carry themselves, men were still dressing well, women were still dressing like ladies. Men would be more gentlemen, women would conduct, speak in a certain manner. Our interaction as people was a little different. Yes, there was still the ruffians and the offshoots and people who had their behavior patterns,
Mm-hmm.
but you'll find general census was still around where people were people, even out, even in developed ways in children, was still community based, even then, correcting a child, making sure he wasn't on the street peddling and all these type of things come forward. And
Mm-hmm.
then bit by bit, we started peeling off certain things that were being shown, certain things that were being taught, certain manners, certain rules of etiquette. We started relaxing on a lot of things. We started being accepting certain types of behaviors and saying, well, a child is just a child, a man is just a man, a woman is just a woman. People growing up, people, we wrapped it on, well, times changing.
Boys will be
Instead of
boys.
instead of addressing the change,
Mm-hmm.
we just left it as, hey, well, things change, you know. So nobody tried to pull the reins on developing or changing that. So we end up now where we allowed everything and allowed so much. And as you said, we now reaping the harvest of what we allowed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those seeds, those mindsets, those mentalities, we've allowed it to germinate and grow so much that we have no choice but to now try to deal with that. Because the question will be, how do we teach men? I mean, talking about grown men in this instance that already have habits and their way of being that they've been doing for how much years, to break them out that cycle. Of course, the first thing most people will say is, well, you have to go behind the youth, the children. But then again, how are you supposed to go behind the children if it is in the home? It have parents like that gentleman who told his son, who said that he don't want his son to chase the remote himself. You know, so there will be those obstacles to overcome if we have to do this properly. No if and buts or maybes. It does take pulling the reins right now on what is already out of control. That horse is already running, it's already on his way. But we now have to find a way to pull the reins and say, look, we need to get certain things back in place. Whether it's, it's corporal punishment in schools, whether it's addressing, speech, how people interact, that communication, that language with each other. We have to find those ways to address that. We have to be creative. All right, yes, everything starts at home, but it also takes a community to raise a child, right? So we have to look at what we can do as individuals and also as extensions, collectives, to change this. Mike?
That's so true. That's so true. That term you use, Chris, that it takes a village to raise a child. I think people have, others have mentioned just now that it used to be a long time that the community was in charge of raising a child. They all played a role. Sadly, it's still the case, but it's just not in a positive manner as you would want it to be all the time. Because a lot of men carry the influences from the things and people around them.
Right.
And they watch the community, they watch how the men that are given respect in the community operate. They watch
the values
of behavior of men in dominance, and they mimic these things and those things are what nurtures the seeds within them. I've been looking at men that I grew up with, that I went to school with, and even those that I would have at some point in time called friends. And I've noticed certain things that, it's you could watch a group of men, watch the way they dress, the way they care about themselves, and you could still not fully understand the man behind the image now. Because what they grew up around, what they grew up with, who they grew up with, what they were exposed to, what they were subjected to, all these different things play a part in what makes them. So there were the men who grew up around a dad who would be well dressed to go out into the world, and look like a gentleman, but when he's home, he's a beast.
Yeah.
So these men hide their true natures. They're the men who are the same no matter where they go, they're indifferent. They'll show their bad ways no matter where. And they really sound like that as well. And so there are so many different types of men. And like I said, Chris, figuring out exactly what form of treatment or approach needs to be done is really important. I think though that one of the big things that needs to happen as well is the government and the government as a whole needs to take some blame for all of these things that happen when it comes to crime in the country. And I say that because of this. And the reason it's hard for me to comprehend how my license can get taken away based on the merit points. But a man can walk around here that with numerous counts of assault, rape, theft, and different things, and shoot at home. You know what I mean?
Waiting for your case to call.
You understand? I personally know men who went to jail and live a life comfortable because they keep in call they come back out. And the reason for case that is like, when I went up for like 5 years, and during that 5 years, they're racking up more charges. And then the government says, and then the point behind it is, the country and the community needs to do better. No. The justice system needs to be done and done in a way where people are actually prosecuted for their crimes and the life comfortable because they keep it.
True.
Right.
It seems so much that men are just incarcerated as though it's a lineman spot and a bar.
Right.
To go in, meet some friends, come back out, and do it all over again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no proper
rehabilitation
process. At least we don't know what it is, and it clearly, from what we're seeing, it clearly isn't working. Or if there is one, it is not reaching all of them.
I'm not even talking about rehabilitation, you know. I'm legit talking about
just the judicial part of it. Yeah.
Just like, if you did something, if there's a crime that was committed, and there's a law that says I should not do this, and there is a judgment or a penalty attached to that crime, it shouldn't take 5 to 10 years
5 to 10
for that
years.
penalty to be placed upon the person, because criminals are no longer afraid of committing a crime because there is no true penalty behind the crime.
Crime is a
Yeah.
career.
Well, now you see, the excuses over the year has been there's so much backlog of cases, and the judicial system needs help, and being redone, and etc. etc. I know that they started that have been probably 2018, 2019. They started pushing a lot of cases and getting some cases that was blacked out of the way, but there is still so much work to be done in regards to that by itself. But you're correct in saying how it is if I drive and this thing could be married, but a person who have assault and rape and kidnapping charges and all kind of stuff could get away with it because they could probably post bail, they could probably get somebody to put up a house or whatever. I think the bail is like 10% or whatever it is. So if it's $100,000, bail is $10,000. So you get somebody to pay that or whatever, and they come out.
Yeah.
There's no real trickery on it. There's no, oh, that's what you do?
And then
No bail. Sorry.
And then there are officers who delay the proceedings by not showing up, by not doing due diligence with their cases.
Correct.
I mean, we can't blame just the judicial system and the legal part of it. Those imposing the law have to be also responsible for seeing it through.
Correct.
You all realize that
I think that's bad for me.
you don't realize that there's a pattern in bringing about there, Michael, that you're looking at it from the criminal element, you're looking at it from the protective services element, you're looking at it from these elements, and one thing that is common is lack of consequence for bad behavior. Lack of consequence. So a person, not knocking the entire police, but you have a few bad apples within there. If it is that they're not doing the due diligence, there's a domino effect that's going on. If it's in the judicial system, persons are not doing the due diligence, there's a domino effect going on right there. And there are no consequences. Okay, you're not even a reprimand, because by the time they catch up with what happened with this person who didn't have the evidence or thing happen, or they had to throw the case because evidence got destroyed because it wasn't packaged properly and all these kind of things like that, what are the consequences? They get buff, how much days without pay or some kind of thing like that. What are the consequences behind that? And are the consequences being dealt with in a timely manner? Or by the time a person retired, then they say, hey, remember that case you had 20 years ago, you should have do this. The person don't go on already. The person don't go on. You know, so the whole thing about lack of consequences for person's action, it really stems from also lack of ownership and taking responsibility for the area that you need to deal with. Everybody passing off crime as a hot potato. It's not my problem. It's the national security problem. No, that's the police problem. No, that's the prison service problem. No, that's the community problem. And everybody passing around like a hot potato. And we realize now the consequences, communities are broken, homes are broken, and there's a whole domino effect of things going on because there's a lack of accountability and a lack of consequence for bad behavior. And if youths seeing that and coming up seeing that now, they can say, yeah, what, I could do something now in 2021, my case ain't gonna get called until 2035, even if I get catch in 2023. And it's because, again, a lack of consequence. And because of that, that is why you have the backlog, things getting thrown out, evidence going missing, and all of these things that are because nobody wants, very few people want to really take up ownership. And for the ones that do, is very few. And they don't even have that support in terms of moving forward with it. So some of them just drop their hands. That's why I say we have to take a macro perspective and take a stronger health check of where we are as a society and start making some heavy changes that are going on. But it starts with taking responsibility for the actions that are going on. For somebody to say, hey, this is in my court, I go and take responsibility, I own this, let me see what I can do here. That ownership, it's lacking, and we are suffering for it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. And as I mentioned, that let's deal with the conspiracy theory part of it, as you mentioned, and people being responsible, right? we're not trying to go too far down the rabbit hole here. All right, so it's freestyle. And I do want to drop some points for the ladies, right? Who really believe they should really be empowering themselves and looking at certain things. But let's deal with this conspiracy theory, right? Based on so based on what has happened recently in the current state of the death of the young lady, all right, and the two people that were arrested, that both are now, no longer here.
Yeah, one of them fall out the chair.
Right.
That is some chair, boy.
I mean, no, I could understand. Now, I'm not saying this was done. I could understand rage. I could understand anger. I could understand wanting to deal your own kind of justice against these men. But you have to be, you kind of want them to live in a sense where they stand for what they did. I mean, I know some people might say, well, they would have probably gotten off, so there's probably a good thing that happened to them. But if you had to soften up their body, I feel some, that chair, he dropped out the chair, and then the chair dropped on him or something.
The chair was 200 feet and he fell off the chair.
But what do you all think about that? Is it that you actually believe this what they said happened to these men? Or do you believe some form of some justice was served because of rage or anger based on what happened?
Again, huh?
I have a couple different views on that based upon different conspiracy theories as well.
Right.
There were a lot of talk about other reasons why the young lady was taken. Different elements that would have been exposed by information she had.
Or the men have.
Right? So therefore, it have different ways to look at it. It could have been just silencing the voice that could have spoken.
Everybody.
Right? It could have also been vigilante justice. So there are a lot of different things behind it. And I think that's why we look at it as, sorry to say it, but Gigi, you need to take some responsibility here and up your game when it comes to how you and your boys deal with stuff. That is what I'm going to say.
Well, let me train. Now, again, let me train my piece in all fairness, right? So, Gigi have his job to do. But he needs support in terms of people that could truly back him up in terms of taking ownership as well. Because Gigi is just one G. He's just one G. Gigi is just one G. So, it says how to look at that. And I mean, yeah, they have the conspiracy theory that, the person that knew too much and the persons who fell off the chair were loose ends. Fall off the chair and get sick and dead, and who come off the chair, it was too high, bounce it, land head first to come off the chair. These things like that. And again, that is the unfortunate thing that we're going on. So people have, because of how the society is, and we haven't done that gut check, we as a society have mixed emotions when you hear persons fall out of chairs and these things like that, when you hear the crime that they are associated with. So you find out that some people say, boy, damn good for them, boy. They get what they get, boy. Yeah, fix them up, soften them up. Alright, and they may say, justice for whoever with respect to that, but is it really solving the problem? Or is it just a way of I'm not saying solving it, just dealing with one part of a situation, but not really solving what is happening here? And I think that is where we had to look at. If a person has a big gashing cut in their arm and they're ready for amputation, you don't rest one of them 50 cents plaster on that and say, okay, walk it off. And sometimes that is how we deal with things as a society. Put a small bit of treatment there and say, walk it off and you get healed for yourself. But I think we reach a point now we need that surgery in our society. We need to be able to take stock and say, hey, something wrong. We are exposed and we need to fix things. So, yeah.
Well, all right. I want to give some tips to the ladies, right, that are listening and will watch the run of this. Before I start, Mike, I know with your personal training and stuff at a time, you actually had some self-defense classes. Is it something you're looking at starting back?
Right.
Is it ongoing? Is it something that women can sign up for with you? What's the deal on that?
Um, Due to COVID, we had previously put a stop to some of our self-defense classes.
Right.
However, we will be doing some video content that we will be able to share with people about self-defense. I've actually been in conversation with some guys who do mixed martial arts, Krav Maga, and these things that can definitely, and even personal security, as in bodyguard services that are willing to put together information in video format for people to view.
All right.
But the funny thing is, they all say the same thing. They don't want it to be viewed by everybody.
Correct.
Because you have the good and the bad element, right?
True.
So what we may be doing is we may be offering closed group self-defense packages that they can do in a group format online if they choose to, or in person. So as to not expose the information, or to not share the information to the wrong elements, in a sense.
Yeah.
But we definitely will be having some stuff available soon.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, I like that. I think that is actually a easy solve there. As I said, do a closed group. You can do so much things online now, whether stuff is password protected, whether it's something that's specifically subscribed to, and you generate, unique key identifiers for the person to log into. There are things that you can actually do that the password that will take like a key generator. So when you need to log in, you have to have this. It regenerates every 60 seconds.
Two-step authentication. Yeah.
To protect that. You know what I mean? So I like that. So yeah, work on that.
Yeah, and just as a little insight, we have one of our listeners here, Micaiah, who may be able to, you might want to connect with, especially, in terms of the Krav Maga. He's listening right now. So, I mean, if at any given time he message us on Mantle, we could find out a little more details with respect to that one too.
We have a Krav Maga man in the group, but listen, I want to learn that.
Definitely send your information, of course. We're definitely looking for more people to participate, so send your information.
I need to break up people.
Protect ourselves and our loved ones.
That is all you. I want men close combat, pull all up shots. I've been real.
No, I understand that.
Granted, I got into the Krav Maga because of movies. That and Muay Thai. But hey, I love it. So if he's really listening, dude, drop contact. Let's talk, man. All right. So ladies, the ladies that are tuned in and will watch this, I'm just gonna give you a couple tips. Now, I'm gonna break it into the ladies that drive. All right. Now, firstly, if you're going out and it may not always be possible, but do try to move in groups. All right. Make sure everybody, look after each other, and could be more aware of surroundings. So please move in groups once you can. If you can't and you're driving, let's say you went to a mall or you're visiting someone, on your way to the vehicle, let's not wait till you reach to the vehicle to start looking for the keys. All right, go fumble with your keys, get your keys in hand. All right, it prepares you, but it can also be used as a weapon. All right,
right through here.
Keys in hand, get in your car, start your car, and leave, please. A lot of women, I've seen it myself. They get in the car, they sit down, they go into their handbags, they pull out their cell phones, they start.
And lock your doors.
Oh yeah, and they don't lock the doors. All right, that's a very big thing. All right, Get in your car, lock your doors, start your car, and leave. You can always check your phone. You can always, check your items when you get to your destination. All right. For those that travel, all right, something I did in the early, when I was dropping, like if I would drop my wife home or along the way on whichever leg of the trip that I didn't see her off on, I will always take or get the number plate of the maxi or the car. I would note the color. I would even, any type of vehicle. I actually would text it to her sometimes, or I just make sure I have it so that if time she gets home, if I don't get a call, I know what time it is. Who's on the phone? I have that, right? Let's see, if you're in a vehicle and you're traveling and you're not feeling safe or you're feeling uncomfortable, there is nothing wrong with asking the driver to stop and allow you out the car.
Do like the movie, Get Out.
All right? There is nothing wrong with that. You can ask the driver to stop and come out if you're feeling safe and uncomfortable. All right? If let's say you're in a maxi, please stay aware, stay observant. Don't just go in the maxi and sit down and go on your phone and start coming through social media, or you start playing Candy Crush or whatever game that you're playing on your phone. Try to stay aware of your situation, be aware of where you are, all right? So you have that awareness happening. Also, let's say you're in a taxi as well. Talk to someone on the phone, let them know your location, let them know how long it takes you to get there, and make sure you're speaking in a manner where everybody else in the vehicle would know, so that they know other people listening.
Yeah.
All right. They know that others know that you're on your way home and it'll take a half hour or 20 minutes. Let people know that.
Yeah.
All right. So, very simple tips. Don't fumble your keys, get in your car, start your car, make sure your doors are locked and you can leave. Don't hang around. All right. Take down number plates. I mean, I've done that for years. Right. You feel unsafe, come out of the vehicle. That's something I don't understand. A lot of people women tell me this before. They've been in taxis, didn't feel safe, but then come out. I've never understood that. And only when they reach where they go and they come out, they feel a sigh of relief. But so much things can happen between point A and point B.
Exactly.
So just be aware of our surroundings, be aware of who's around us at the time, look for certain signs, and let's just not be into ourselves and our cell phones and stuff like that. Awareness is major.
Yeah. See, I say they just said that it starts with awareness. Some additions to the item that you spoke about there, Chris. With respect to vehicle and the doors that lock, in terms of the power locks and everything like that, have it set in a way that only when you use your key, when you use your device in terms of unlocking the door, automatic lock and unlock, that is only your driver door that unlocks. Don't let it unlock all the doors. Correct. Because somebody could sneak in from the back while you're trying to get in on the driver's side. So these are things that you have to look at as well. Because it has some of them that is on, especially for SUVs. Yes. If it is that you unlock and all the doors do that, somebody could easily slip into the back area of your SUV. All of these things are that you need to be aware of. People might think it's paranoid, but you need to keep that in mind as well. Correct. And why it's so important, you need to practice drills as well with your family. And what I mean drills with your family, what is the key word to say if I'm on the phone and I feel like something not right? Even if it is I had to come out like, hey, you might use a word like butterfly eyes or some kind of thing. It's some phrase that the person the next time knows something is wrong. And you need to be, we're ready to come up, but you want to use a particular phrase, let somebody know that something is wrong, so you know what is happening. Right. These are the things that you had to look at. Self-defense classes, and again, I'm not talking Billy Blank's Taibo thing going on here, but we're talking about really taking it seriously, and that also looks at your physical training and well-being around it as well too. So it's not a matter of being able to send wild kick and all these things like that, but it's a matter of being able to have the right frame of mind, not to panic, and being able to defend yourself. These are the things that they need to be learning. I see, and they showed 2 books here: Survival Tactics and Personal Safety, and another one called Self-Defense Awareness and Assault Prevention. That is by Major Bodram. That's the next person we both know personally as well. All right. When they're talking Krav Maga, that is if Krav Maga was a person in Trinidad, that is the face. Okay. Yeah, that is the face. All right. So So all of these things like that, we just need to be mindful of. Well, I think the cat out to the bag that the person was talking about in terms of knowing this stuff was Andy, and he put in the information and thing there one time for us. All right. So persons who are listening, if you need to move in groups as well too. Move in groups. Move with a team, a crew of people that you trust and everything like that. And really and truly, that's why I say you have to pick your friends as well too. Not persons if trouble start, they run and they leave you. You know? But to be able to have persons that you're able to move with together. You see, the fact that all they move together, all they actually board a vehicle together and everything like that. Try as much as possible, especially around this time, not to move by yourself. I mean, statistically speaking, they are targeting significantly more females and males. So it's especially useful information that we are passing on here with respect to that. And for persons who may be listening afterwards, feel free to go ahead and put your comments in terms of recommendations that you want, that you believe we need to look at as well with respect to personal security and how we are moving as well. All right. Even with just shopping as well too, try not to go with a whole set of stuff there that, you know, all of these things like that you ought to be able to do. Even for persons who making groceries and stuff like that. Have the person move with you to put your stuff in your car. Don't go by yourself. Alright? To do that in the vehicle as well. So, you know, these are the things that are happening right now. I mean, it's a sad state that we're in, that, you know, we had to talk these things right now. And I mean, we are not coming online here to say that we have the answers to cure everything about the violence that is going on right here. But it's just really an opportunity to bring awareness. It may be things that you have heard about already and we're just bringing it up again. That is fine. There may be persons who may not know. And this is an opportunity for us to be able, and that's why we have the conversation. It's to bring things to the table. Let's chat about it. Let's talk about it. If you can't talk with us verbally here, we have the comments there. Go ahead, place your comments, because the comments that you put in there can help others in terms of what's happening right now. You know, shout out to all the persons that are putting in the comments here, and they lighten it up here, because you know this is his specialty. So Major Boudram, aka Master Boudram, all right, Master Boudram Combat Readiness. I don't know if that is a website or if that's his handle for Instagram or Twitter.
That's his Facebook. That's his Facebook.
Yeah. All right. So persons, I mean, we'll share the link as well too. So if, you know, we could go down that particular road.
That's right. Now I know we lost Mike. He messaged and said that there was an accident on the route where he was going, so we have to have the phone there. Probably has police around, you know, want to be seen talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the conversation that is wrapped around current events going on in the country, and you know, we have to deal with the issues. Let's really start being our brothers. People talk to your fellow gents, see where his mental landscape is at the moment. You know, let's try to encourage each other to do that deep work. Let's build our past traumas. Let's not have those statistics, these census continuing on the road there is, especially when there's so much of us that kind of want to see change, trying to influence change. And ladies, please protect yourself at all times, at all costs. You know, the tips we've given are just a little bit, there's a lot more apart from getting self-defense done and just being more aware of surroundings. You know, this conversation will not be over. It will be continuous as long as these situations continue to arise, as long as women are being snatched up off the streets, as long as the count is more than the days of the year. That could never be okay. We need that, just like COVID, we need that to go down to zero.
Yes.
All right? Just like COVID, we need that to go down to zero. And we have to get the data. That'll take some research. I will try and see if I can find any, or I can get any from anyone that I know who may have been doing similar research. Can't make any promises, but if I do get it, I'll pass it on to you, Andy.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll try to see what we can find, because you know, I don't like to say in other parts of the world they get like that, but you know, Trinidad. Sorry to say, some things aren't, data isn't gathered or collected for analysis in certain ways.
We swear by paper and typewriter.
You know, that's what it is. But All right, so folks, this has been the conversation. Been deep. We thank you for joining us tonight. Please be sure to join us again next week as we continue and bring topics like we always say. If there's a topic that you want us to discuss or cover, please let us know. We may not always be able to do it ourselves, but we will find those that we can bring on the show to discuss with you. All
Yep.
right. So we do appreciate your time tonight, and we look forward to you joining us again next week.
Thank you very much. And for our Facebook persons who are connecting for the first time, don't forget to like and share this video with as much persons as possible. For persons on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and share and turn on that notification bell so you'll be alerted of all our videos as we post them. So guys, take care and be safe.
Good night.